Hi SALT users, this is Joyelle from SALT Software, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to insert the footer for the expository, persuasive, and the narrative scoring scheme. It's a fairly easy process. Before I show you that, I do want to point out that if you're using SALT 20, in the help menu under resources there's scoring guides. So here are the specific scoring guides for narrative, and then with narrative there's also, if you're doing a retell, a specific scoring guide for each of the story retells. So here's an example of the scoring rubric for Pookins Gets Her Way that has specific criteria for each of the scores and then some examples. So it's kind of handy just to print this out and have it by you as you're scoring your transcript. Now we'll go back into the transcript and into the edit menu, and you'll come down to insert the template, and we'll go narrative scoring scheme, and then it put our plus lines at the bottom. So again, using that scoring rubric, you would go in and put your scores in. Okay, so however you judge them. And then the process is the same for persuasion, except what you would do is edit, insert template, and again, based on the header, it will insert the categories for the persuasion scoring scheme. And then the same process if you have an expository sample, it just inserts the specific scoring for the elicitation that you've chosen. So we'll go back to our narrative story retell. And now that I have my scores inputted at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and do a database comparison. So I'm going to go up to the database menu and select database samples and settings. And from our header, it has defaulted to the correct SALT reference database, with the subgroup being Pookins Gets Her Way. So I'm going to find the match samples, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the method that I want to use to equate the samples. So I'm going to go with total number of words. And then we have 40 samples for 311 words. So I'll click OK. And that piece is done. So there's a couple places where you can find your score. The standard measures report is right here, and then it will be under macro analysis, and this just lists the composite score. And again, I scored that one pretty low, so this one looks like it's 3.12 standard deviations below the mean. Another place where you can find information on your narrative scoring scheme is under macro analysis and narrative scoring scheme. And what this does is it gives you the composite score along with each one of the categories and the standard deviation information based on each one of the scoring categories. So perhaps your student is having difficulties with referencing, and that may be highlighted here where their other categories are fairly average, but referencing, it was not great. So that can be handy information to get a little bit more specific on what part of narrative elements the student is kind of struggling with. Okay, so hopefully you have a good sense of how to score a sample and insert your scores for the narrative, persuasive, or expository scoring scheme. Thanks for listening.